We all know it. Walked it every day. But none of them were like these. The world's most dangerous ways to school. Freezing. Climbing for hours. Bailing non-stop. All for the chance of a better life. Spectacular and sometimes simply beautiful. The world's most dangerous ways to school. The Danakil Desert in northeastern Ethiopia. One of the hottest and most hostile regions of the world, with daytime temperatures of 50 degrees Celsius, and the ground heating up to a smoldering 70 degrees. The Looita volcano towers over the entire region. The people that live here are the warlike Afar. The Afar are semi-nomadic and have adapted themselves over the centuries to the barren landscape. Their greatest wealth is their livestock. The Danakil Desert has been repeatedly the hottest region in the world. Its average annual temperature, 34 degrees Celsius. The only escape from the desert, an education. That's why the children walk in the merciless heat through seemingly endless landscapes. Their destination? School. The way there, a daily battle against heat, thirst, and sandstorms. On the way back, the children must cope with the greatest heat of the day, nothing to offer them shade, on what is probably the hottest way to school in the world. Six o'clock in the morning, 150 kilometers from the nearest major city, the sun rises in northeastern Ethiopia over the Danakil Desert. In the small village of Abdelale, 50 families live in simple tent cabins. They are well adapted to the environment. Since the temperatures at night almost never drop below 25 degrees Celsius, people sleep outside, letting the sun's first rays wake them. The same is true for the 11-year-old student, Hamid, who, like every morning, tries to delay getting up for as long as possible. And, like every morning, Hamid first gets breakfast for himself and his siblings. Fresh milk. The animals ensure the livelihood of the Afar. Therefore, children learn to care for them from a very early age.
Everyone has to care for the animals. We all do. Our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents. Animals are very important because they give us food and drink and we can sell them. But I also enjoy going to school because I want to learn something.
In Ethiopia, almost 2/3 of adults are illiterate. The school is a privilege, especially in remote areas, and mostly only for the boys. Hamid's sister Asya is not so fortunate.
Because my brother goes to school. I have to take care of the animals, but that's fine with me.
Young girls in Ethiopia are accustomed to staying at home. Most of them are married off very young. While his sister strolls across the pastures with the animals, Hamid prepares his school supplies. Hamid has 6 younger siblings. He is the only one to go to school, which is a good 2-hour walk away. Hamid's mother Aisha churns the leftover milk from the previous day into butter.
It is good and important that he goes to school and learns so that he can later take care of himself. Once he finishes his education, he can get a good job and can then maybe also help us.
Hamid's way to school sends him straight across the desert. Even now it is over 30 degrees. There is no water to be found anywhere. All the more reason for him to drink a lot now before he starts. His mother Aisha is aware of the dangers that lie on Hamid's way to school. The intense heat, the long distance, and the deserted desert. But she also knows there is no alternative. At least Hamid is usually not alone on his journey. In the village of Abdelale, almost 500 people live in similar simple huts, scattered around 4 square kilometers of volcanic rock. At the other end of the village, a friend joins Hamid, 14-year-old Mohammed.
Hello, how are you? Come on, we got to go. See you later, father.
Take care of yourselves.
Mohammed's father, Usman, works in the salt mine in Afar, 50 kilometers away, in order to help feed his family. Mohammed also works several days a month there with him.
Today, after school, Mohammed will assist me in the salt mine. This has its advantages and disadvantages. Although we make more money when he helps me, and this we certainly need, I also know that his schoolwork suffers due to it. I would prefer for him to go to school and learn.
Hamid and Mohammed depart. The 2-hour journey to school awaits them, all on foot, in the heat of the Danakil desert. As inhospitable and hostile as the region is, the people of the Afar have adapted themselves to it. In the next village, 10 kilometers away, hidden between the bushes of the dunes, lies another home. The 9-year-old Khadiga is also already awake. As she does every morning before going to school, Khadiga fetches water from the well for her family. Fetching water or collecting firewood are typical jobs for an Afar girl. Khadiga is one of only a few girls who can go to school. She is lucky that her father is very open-minded. He wants his children to learn to read and write. Many Afars don't send their children to school at all, or only when they are much older.
I like the work. We girls simply have to fetch water for our families.
At home, her father Saeed and her brother Looita are already waiting for Khadiga. Despite all his open-mindedness, Saeed places great importance in traditions. Fetching water, collecting firewood, and running the household, that is woman's work.
Look, Khadiga's back and she's brought water. Thank you, Khadiga.
The Afar are Muslim. Today is a very special day for the 6-year-old Looita. First, he must go to school. Later, following old Muslim tradition, he will become a man.
Today we celebrate Looita's circumcision. This is a very important event for Muslims, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm also very happy. All the boys are circumcised.
Although Khadiga is only 9 years old, she is not only responsible for herself, but also for her little brother on their dangerous journey. Every day, both of them walk 45 minutes each way, in temperatures of up to 50 degrees Celsius. For their father Saeed, it is difficult to let his children go each and every time.
We have many things to fear when we send them on their way to school. First of all, naturally, because of the heat. They could pass out and remain lying in the sand somewhere. And then there are the sudden sandstorms, which have caused many children to lose their way.
Back to Hamid and Mohammed. It's just after 7 o'clock. Even now the sun beats down from the sky. There are still 8 kilometers left to reach the school, and the two are completely on their own. There is no one other than themselves far and wide, no water and no shade.
Well, we are accustomed to walking in the heat.
For you, it might be easier. You're already bigger, but I think it's terrible.
Mohammed tries to distract the little Hamid. But they both know only too well that children often collapse in this great heat. Finally, Khadiga and Looita reach the riverbed. Now that the riverbed is dry, it poses no threat. But once or twice a year, when it rains a lot in the mountains 100 kilometers away, water flows through it. It transforms the dry riverbed into a raging, impassable river. Moreover, the water attracts jackals. Usually it only takes a few days until the riverbed is dry again. However, the ground remains cooler here. Looita lingers a bit on the muddy ground, but there's no time for that now. Khadiga wants to arrive at school on time.
It is particularly difficult to walk here because our feet sink in the mud. Looita has enough problems as it is, keeping up.
Khadiga knows that she must be considerate of her little brother. However, she also knows when he's being stubborn. Sometimes Looita would rather stay with the animals than go to school. Then Khadiga simply ignores him and picks up the pace. Hamid and Mohammed's way to school leads them 15 kilometers through the Danakil desert. They walk 2 hours every day to school because they want to learn, in spite of all the dangers.
One time, a friend of mine simply collapsed on the way to school. His parents then sent him away to relatives in the city. Now he no longer needs to walk that far to go to school.
But not all parents can or want to send their children to the city. Ethiopia is one of the poorest countries in the world. 1 in 3 people live below the poverty line. The life of the Afars is simple. Their only wealth is their animals, especially the camels. Nine-year-old Khadiga dreams of a better future. She would love to get out of here. The heat, the sand, the long distances. Life in this remote area is hard. Around the same time, Hamid and Mohammed reach a spot that looks rather harmless at first glance. The green lands. These ankle-high plants bloom a few weeks a year. When the rain in the highlands trickles down to the Danakil depression, it produces this phenomenon. For the school kids, it is a cause for concern.
I don't like walking over the green undergrowth. We can't see what is hidden there. Sometimes there are snakes or scorpions.
I was already stung by a scorpion even. That really hurt.
Whether they like it or not, to get to school, there is nothing left for the boys to do but walk through the dense undergrowth. In about 1 to 2 weeks, the lush green will have dried up. But as long as possible, the Afars graze their animals there. For the goats, sheep, and camels, this is a real treat in the otherwise arid Danakil desert. Almost daily, dangerous sandstorms sweep over the dunes. One is starting to blow through just now. Khadiga and Looita must remain close to each other and be careful not to stray from the path. They still have a difficult journey through the storm and dunes before them. Their goal? The school in the village of Khusrovat. Their teacher, Mulu, is already preparing her lessons. She knows what hardships the children must tackle on their way to school every day.
The greatest problem for the children on their way to school is that they do not have enough water. Students get tired, and it becomes difficult for them to travel that great distance through the desert. And then there are sandstorms. It has happened before that children get lost in sandstorms and disappear.
In the vastness of the Danakil desert, there is no protection from the sudden strong winds. Sometimes, the storm first dissipates on the following day. The wind whips the student's skin with desert sand. It's something Khadiga and Looita have experienced before. The sand hurts their eyes. They can hardly keep them open. They both fight bravely through the storm. Fortunately, they are not far now. The village and the school are located directly behind the dunes. A short time later, they both reach their destination, the small town of Khusrovat. 6,000 people live here and in the surrounding towns. There are neither roads, nor electricity, nor running water. The children pass the time until the classes begin. The school is the only place for them where they're allowed to be children in this inhospitable region. Hamid and Mohammed arrive at the dunes. The sandstorm has subsided. Nevertheless, the way remains difficult. Although it is only a few minutes after 8 o'clock in the morning, the sand under their feet is already a glowing 50 degrees Celsius. This produces many challenges for the 11-year-old Hamid.
It's very difficult to walk in the sand because I sink in. Also, the sand is so hot, it always burns our feet. It's the hottest part of our way. And when it's windy, we only see sheer grit, nothing more. That's why I don't like this part of the way to school.
After more than 2 hours and a 15-kilometer march, Hamid and Mohammed finally reach the school. Just in time. The morning flag ceremony is about to begin. Not in the shade, but in the blazing sun. Even the smallest of them, like the 6-year-old Looita, must stand at attention reverently and pause for a moment before they can all begin to sing together. At 8:30 a.m., classes begin. Khadiga and Looita are both in first grade. Although she is 3 years older, all grade levels are taught together, a huge challenge for the teachers. However, the greatest problem is the language barrier. Mulu teaches mostly in Amharic, the Ethiopian national language, but the children speak mostly only Afar. That means as soon as they start school, they must learn a new language. The little ones are tired from the long journey and the heat. After all their exertions, it's difficult for them to follow the lessons. Despite the official compulsory school attendance laws, only 1 in 3 children in Ethiopia goes to school. Many leave after the first grade, without ever learning how to read or write. Hamid is in the 3rd grade. He is a good student and very ambitious. He's doing math at the moment, fractions to be exact. He has to go up to the blackboard and show his work. A breeze for Ahmed. He is rewarded with applause for the correct answer. Although Ahmed is talented in math, it is not his favorite subject.
Most of all, I like the language arts. Especially when we learn and speak in Afar. It's my native language. My second favorite is learning Amharic. Since it's the official language of Ethiopia, I want to learn it well. That's important so that I can speak to all Ethiopians.
As Hamid continues to do his calculations, the 14-year-old Muhammad fetches water for the other school children together with a few other boys. The well is located some 15 minutes from the school. The well was built by a foreign aid organization. It pumps the groundwater from deep below up to the surface, a great help for the people here. Lunchtime. Especially the little ones need to strengthen themselves for the journey back home in the heat. The water that Mohammed and the other boys have brought is still cool and refreshes the children. The school lunch, mostly millet, is free for the children. Khadiga is sharing a special time with some of her girlfriends.
In school, I get to meet my friends and relatives. That's nice.
The children enjoy their break. Afterwards, they still have an hour of lessons ahead of them. Half-past 1, school is over. It's hot, 45 degrees Celsius. Most children are in for a long, arduous way back home. The 11-year-old Hamid must walk home alone. His friend Mohammed is on the way to the salt mines to help his father at work. Hamid faces a 2-hour-long journey home at the hottest time of the day in one of the hottest regions of the world. "14-year-old Mohammed leaves with some men from the village to the salt mines in Afar, 50 miles away. There is no infrastructure in this area, but on some days in the week, trucks come from Afar and take the men to the salt mines. It is a 2-hour drive. For many, working in the mine is the only way to earn money. This is also true for Mohammed and his family.
There's almost no transportation here. I think it would be really great if the trucks would run more often, also to the school. That would make everything so much easier. Then I could help my father more often in the salt mines.
The salt lake of Afar. Its water is about as salty as that of the Dead Sea, and it provides the livelihood for many of the people in the region. As they have done for centuries, the miners use water to expose the salt. They then break up the white gold with pickaxes. This work is extremely exhausting, in 50-degree heat and with no shade. Mohammed's father Usman has worked in the salt mine for many years.
Even at my age, I work here because I must, and at times my son helps me. Otherwise, we wouldn't have enough money. But if he does well in school and graduates with good grades, I don't want him to work here anymore. I want him to leave this place and find another job.
Osman hopes for a better life for his son, but he also knows that this means that his son will have to leave home. Khadiga and Looita are walking through the dunes. This time, they don't need to deal with a sandstorm, but they do have to deal with the sun and the sand beneath their feet, which has now reached 70 degrees Celsius and burns them with every step.
Actually, I'm used to walking barefoot. This morning the sand wasn't that horribly hot, but now it is very hot. It really hurts my feet.
Khadiga and Looita are on their way home, while the men there are preparing for Looita's circumcision. Their father Saeed brings Looita's uncle to the tent. He will perform the circumcision. According to tradition, an Afar man from the mother's family must do it. He prepares a paste from the sankudu plant, which is believed will give Looita strength.
Due to our religious beliefs, the circumcision is very important to us. We believe that it's very important for a man to be circumcised. Looita is now the right age for the ceremony.
Hamid fights his way through the dunes at a temperature of 47 degrees Celsius. The Danakil desert lies 100 meters below sea level. Nowhere else is the Earth's crust so thin and as active as here. Under the volcanic ground lies glowing magma. The sun from above and the heat from below make the region a veritable oven.
On my way home, there's no watering spots or wells. When it's as hot as it is today, I take a small detour. There's a fountain there. After I have had something to drink, I go on.
The watering spot is, however, 5 kilometers away. Meanwhile, Khadiga and Looita are not too far from home. Looita can go straight home, but Khadiga still needs to help with the digging of a new well. Therefore, from here on, they go different ways. Looita hurries home. Today is his big day. At sunset, when the heat has died down, he will be transformed through the celebration of circumcision into a man. Before that happens, Looita can rest for a while. He is the baby of the family, and his father Saeed's pride and joy. He will inherit everything one day and walk in the footprints of his father. Looita doesn't seem too excited about his circumcision.
I'm very excited. I want to be just like my friends.
In a few moments, it will be time. Looita's father and his uncle have also finished with their preparations, and now only need to mix the herbal mixture with water for the circumcision. At the same time, Hamid drags himself through the landscape with his last strength. He wants to go to the well. The heat is extreme. The Afars are accustomed to it and barely sweat even at such high temperatures. The few wells are miles apart. Millions of years ago, an ocean covered the Danakil desert. Even today, the soil is extremely salty. Therefore, almost nothing grows well here. Hamid is hungry and thirsty. The many kilometers to and from school sap his strength. But he travels them every day for a better life. Finally, Hamid has reached the well. He has been walking for over an hour in temperatures close to 50 degrees Celsius. The Afar culture teaches everyone to help each other. Hamid is grateful and gets stronger with every large gulp.
I was so thirsty along the way and was very glad that I could get something to drink.
Although water is a very precious commodity in the region, Hamid is able to cool off. Khadiga is also very thirsty, but there is still nothing there for her to drink. First, she must help dig the new well. Although she is only 9 years old, she regularly helps in projects such as these. To enable the men to dig deeper, Khadiga removes the muddy water. This is the only way for them to subsequently reach the clean groundwater.
When I grow up, I want to get away from here. I want to get married and live somewhere with tap water.
Very few Afars move to the cities. Most of them continue the traditional way of life in the remote Danakil desert. As hard as life here can be, one thing always gives Khadiga great joy: watering the camels. About 10 kilometers away, Hamed meets his sister Asya. She was out with the animals the entire day. Asya is curious about what Hamed learned in school. After all, her big brother has a new story for her every day. It's been a long, arduous, and especially hot day for both of them. Soon it will be over. Together, they make their way home. Around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the evening sun sets over the Danakil desert and the salt mines of Afar. The great heat of the day is over, even if it is still over 30 degrees Celsius. Mohammed has arrived at the salt mines. He will stay here a few days to work with his father Usman, who is happy that his son is there to lend him a helping hand. Although Mohammed is only 14, he has to work just as hard as the adults. The workers can make up to $50 a day, a lot of money in Ethiopia, but the average income is just under $30 a month.
I don't like the work here. I only do it to help my father because we need the money. But when I finished school, I don't want to work here anymore.
In order to escape the work in the salt mines, Mohammed goes to school. But today, that's where he's working. Well into the night, breaking slabs of salt from the earth. "50 kilometers away, Khadiga finally reaches home after a long day. Her cousins don't go to school, and they're curious each time about what Khadiga has learned that day. But Khadiga has no time for storytelling. She wants to do her homework before it's dark. Very often, this is not easy. The paper is sandy, and the pens have dried up.
Today was very hot and exhausting. I'm tired, and after I do my homework, I'm going to bed.
Khadiga is not permitted to be at her brother's circumcision. Her father, Saeed, leads the men from the village. Now the big moment has arrived for small Looita. The Afars are Muslims. For them, the circumcision of boys symbolizes entry into the community of faith. Before Looita can take part in this, he washes himself with a herbal mixture that his father and uncle have prepared in the afternoon. It is supposed to make him strong and brave. Male circumcisions are usually uncomplicated. However, the Afars traditionally circumcise their girls as well. It is a cruel act in which every third girl dies. Despite many attempts from the outside world to convince them otherwise, many of the Afars still practice this tradition. Saeed talks to his son encouragingly in order to distract him from the pain. Looita is told to brace himself and repeat a traditional chant. After a few minutes, it is all over. Looita is still a bit shaken up, but he survived it well. Saeed is proud that his son was so brave. Looita is exhausted, but he doesn't want anyone to know.
I'm alright. It doesn't hurt that badly.
Now Looita can recover from the long day. Over the village of Abdelale, at the foot of the volcano, the day draws to a close. Hamid and his sister Asia have arrived safely home. They have dinner together with their parents and siblings, fresh milk and homemade bread. Hamid's parents are proud that their son goes to school, but they are happy every time he is back after a long day like today and can be with them.
I'm very tired. It was so hot today. Especially after school, it was a very tiring walk home. I'm glad that I'm home now and can eat and drink.
And the big and small inhabitants of the village enjoy the slight cooling off that accompanies twilight. For the next few hours, the sun disappears from above the Ethiopian Danakil desert, one of the hottest inhabited places on Earth.